exists to exist. The one that is self-existent.
How many men have children and the children never meet their father? See, you created a void in that child because you are a part of that child.
Black power! Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power! Minister Rahim Chesed Aton. Our co-founder is Minister Omari Jahi Aton, and our First Lady is Sister Makita Aisha Aton. We are all inclusive, Black, righteous, conscious movement dedicated to the upliftment of Black America. I am the first speaker for today, and if you understand by now, you typically got to going to see the minister first or me first. But the title for our lecture today is "In the Beginning Was the Word." We are in a new month of September, and today is September 4th, 2022. And so I just want to welcome you again to our Sunday Warship service, where we come to you each and every Sunday, not to do the rah-rah-rahing that the Black churches do, not even to do the praying and things that the Muslim world does, but understanding that religion is one of the major things that keeps us divided, but having a relationship with spirit and that divine essence is what we are truly focused on, and having that channel through us to give a message, not just to the members of Toma, but a warning and a message to Black America and Blacks in the world. As you know, and the minister will go much more into it, we have prescribed readings that we do every month. And these books is actually still relevant, a lot of them, to what's happening today. And if we look at some of them, Powernomics, the philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey, as I want to just give reverence to a powerful, wonderful event that we were able to put on with the UNIA divisions of 401, 429, other partners such as the Original Man in Black, which is also who we are, but we're going to call them our partners today. The Toma Nation and ABJ, ABJ Civics Training, were a part of putting together a very powerful Marcus Garvey international holiday. Even though we in Toma Nation, we celebrated the day the way Marcus Garvey told us to celebrate the day, not putting any shade to that because we were also a part of that celebration. But the international holiday, for those, just to give a reminder, as it was the 31st of August. And if you as a Black man or a Black woman in America, I like something that I heard President Marua say. And it's something that I go into myself as Spirit is ramping me up to say what I'm about to say. We do not need the white man's permission to celebrate something that we deem to be celebrated. I remember ranting about Juneteenth, and we have never seen as many Black people celebrate Juneteenth. Now, on one side, that's beautiful, you know, that our people are finally celebrating a holiday that we should have been celebrating since Juneteenth first was established. But we talk about the only reason the majority of us celebrated was because it was commercialized. Many people have never even knew what Juneteenth was or when Black people was freed from slavery, the same way how Black people have no idea who Marcus Garvey is. That our young people are going to never know who they come from. And when we talk about that, and that's why I like the title of the lecture of in the beginning was the Word. We actually understand that we used to be the Word. And that understanding is that when we go and share things, and I know I just talking, my heart is actually pretty heavy today. One of my mentors is going through some excruciating pain, and I was with him for 7 hours last night. So I'm actually battling being extremely tired and having a heavy heart at the same time. But the same way how we talked about losing two great people in the library that was burnt down because of their lives being lost. And many of us don't understand how powerful our words is and the things that's in our minds. And when we no longer have that access to that person, it's technically like a library filled with books just being burnt to the ground. And I'm saying that to say, when we look at a great man as Marcus Garvey, that many of our children will have no idea who he is if we don't take the time to spread that word. You know what I'm saying? Too often, and that holiday point again, the only holiday that the white man has given us, and a lot of people don't like when I go into this, and a lot of people won't understand the true psychology behind this, is Martin Luther King Day, right? Why would white America make that a federal holiday? Why would white America give a day for a Black man when we know the way and how they feel about Black America truly, unless this man helped benefit white America and help with the destruction of Black America? And I'm gonna let this be my lecture because I like one of the things that I say is, Black man, who taught you to hate yourself, right? Malcolm X talked a lot about this self-hate that we've garnered at the time when Martin Luther King was out there talking about this love your neighbor stuff and turn the other cheek. And as we were getting hosed down and beaten in the streets and attacked by dogs and spit on at restaurants and all of these things, well, we end up learning to hate ourselves. We were being exposed to so much hate at that time that we end up internalizing that hate. What do you mean, Minister Taharka? Prior to integration, we were the most powerful ethnic group in America. Yes, the KKK was still torturing us. Yes, they were red zoning certain areas that we couldn't live in, but how powerful were we still? There will be no roaring 30s without Black America. What? How did Black America be able to thrive? See, when we get stuck on just surviving as Black people, we get stuck in the mindset that we never was more than slaves, right? And we don't understand how just saying surviving doesn't allow you to thrive when you are stuck on that. But we as a people have thrived after slavery, even thrive through slavery. We didn't just survive slavery. See, one of my favorite people who was misinterpreted, and white America, and it wasn't Black America that attacked him. It was white America that spent the narrative when Kanye West said slavery was a choice. We in Toma Nation understood the choice that he was talking about because we give reverence to people like Nat Turner, who made that choice. We give reverence to people like Harriet Tubman, who made that choice. It was two choices, three choices technically, if you wanted to look at it. It was a choice to kill yourself and die, find a way to die, or stay a slave, or fight for your liberation and freedom. You get what I'm saying? Nat Turner went from plantation to plantation, assassinating the slave owners and freeing the slaves that was there. But something, he was the black man boogeyman, but we ain't gonna go in. That's what they called him. He was one of the greatest warriors that we ever had as black people, right? We're not gonna let them, they like turning revolutionaries into rebels, and we cannot allow them to demify our heroes, right? Some of them praise people like Hitler. You got those who do praise Hitler. Some demify him, but let a German who loved what Hitler did and the impact that he had, they're not about to let you demify him. Or even Trump. You got your great Trump supporters who will never let you say anything negative about Trump. And that's how we as some black people should feel about those black leaders, that when we hear white people demonizing a person like Nat Turner, we should, I was gonna say smack them in the face, but with your words, you can, the words are powerful as well. But when we look at the word that we have inside of us, and that power and light that we can really share, and seeing the beauty of it, again, we cannot talk about the impact that event had yesterday. We were in technically one of the worst neighborhoods in Chicago. That even in itself was an example of how bad that neighborhood is, where they heard that a bunch of black people were getting together, and they had to come and investigate what was going on. And I bet you the Mexicans down the street called the police because they were out there. Oh, see, I got information about how we have to understand that COINTELPRO is real. And one thing about COINTELPRO, they insert their agents on every level into all of our neighborhoods. And I got information from somebody that in the South Shore neighborhood, that there are FBI agents living over in that neighborhood where we were actually having our event at. And we just think about it, COINTELPRO was technically started to monitor the UNIA. What? Yes. He seen what Marcus Garvey was doing and how he garnered all these 4 million African people to come together to unify. He was telling them that we don't need accreditation from y'all, that we're going to do this ourselves, and then literally went and did it himself. People don't understand that the Black Excellent movement was almost led by him. And many people won't see that when it comes to that excellence of the 1960s and us still understanding and redefining who we are. And that brother came with a word from, and he had a choice. He was actually a very educated brother. And it was crazy to me how when we look at the NAACP at that time and them attacking them, the high yellow Negro saying he was miseducated. But this brother was educated. He went to university. He studied all over the world prior to coming to America. Many people leave that part out of history, that Marcus Garvey was well versed in the white man's world. He was very educated, but they painted him as being very miseducated because of the color of his skin. It was no way that a man that dark could be that intelligent. But what I understanding is almost the darker you are, the more connection you can have with that ether that's inside of you to help you pull down a certain level of knowledge that many of us don't even understand or couldn't fathom. The same way there's certain levels of knowledge that couldn't even sit inside a white man's head. He might just implode from that level of knowledge that we can handle. And understanding it's the same thing how we talk about the pressure that coal has to go through to become a diamond. White people can't go through that pressure. We even look at how slavery ended up falling on black people, right? Because they tried to enslave the Native Americans. They died off. They couldn't handle the pressure. They tried to enslave even themselves and brought shiploads of themselves over here to put them to work. Guess what? They couldn't handle the pressure. But it was something about us. And again, I understand how tragic slavery was for Black America. I understand how painful and the things that our ancestors went through. We talk about being pulled apart by a horse. Just could you imagine somebody yanking your arm off and literally just yanking it till it literally ripped from your arm? You won't die instantly. You will literally be sitting there tortured in pain. You talk about cutting the womb of a woman open, letting her newborn baby fall to the ground, and then you crushing the skull with the bottom of your boot. Again, yes, I understand what Black people went through in slavery was tragic. But it made us a better people, right? And we don't understand how it made us a better people. See, when you can see, because we didn't just survive through that, and I want us to get that. And that's why sometimes you heard me insert it into the opening, the descendants of the Black man and women who survived and thrived through slavery. Because I look at how Black Chicago was formed by a Black man. And we might ignore how great Black Chicago was for years before the Great Chicago Fire. Do you understand that the Chicago Fire was used to burn out the Black history of downtown? See, many of us don't know that there used to be that was a Black Mecca down there. And they burnt it down and told us that it was a cow that did it.
Mrs. O'Leary's cow.
No, they were erasing Black history. And then they made sure to move the elders who would know about it into these senior citizen homes so they would not be around their family members to share the word that we needed to understand who we were. We talk about losing most of our people, and the minister talks about it a lot, that he's been planning a lot of funerals with people around the same age as him. So if we're talking about we're losing our people who are in their 60s and 70s, we're losing a lot of great history because there's a disconnect. How many of us today can sit down and have a word with our elders to understand the information that they can pass on to us? How many times do we continue to lose as a community elders who hold such information that we need as a nation to move forward? To not repeat the mistakes. See, that is what white America is almost force feeding Black America. They're like, all right, we're going to keep you in this cycle, this continuous cycle. Some say it's every 20 years. A part of me feel like it's every 60 years. And the reason why I say every 60 years, you look at 60 years ago, it was almost the 70s and the 60s, what happened in the 60s. It was this big Black Power movement that they intersected themselves in and transitioned it from a Black Power movement to a social integration movement. We just had a resurgence of a Black Power movement, and what did they turn into? A LGBTQ empowerment movement. They hijacked it the same way they hijacked the Black movement in the 60s and then covered up everything that Black people was doing there and made it about civil rights for everybody. That's the same thing they're doing with today. They're using the word again, minority, second class, people of color, to take and co-opt the fight that Black America is having. That Black America is trying to put at the forefront in the faces of the world, not just white America. You get what I'm saying? It's going to fall. What's meant to repair us is going to go and be for someone else. And we're not going to understand that this is the same thing that happened 60 years ago. And what was 60 years prior to that? We seen the early 1900s and the roaring 30s, but they're not going to tell you that was us. They co-opted everything about our history and our children unless it's on us. Which is why the minister was talking about how important the Black Heritage Ball is and the banquet is, and us giving those community activists award, even though I like to call them the Blacktivists award, because you got to be Black to really want to do this work. Activists are just acting, but when you're Black, you're doing something more, right? And with that understanding, as we'll keep losing great pillars in our community, it is time for us to upgrade how the word that we are sharing with our people. See, because when we understand that it is something inside of us, some great light that is inside of us, there's a power that is resting. I've been listening to a book, and it's so interesting because it amplifies us getting into the month with Black root science. And I could talk a lot about the book, but I'm saving that for the minister, and I'll get to talk about Black root science more specifically in my lecture next week. But when we understand our true history, and I even like saying we don't even have to go that far back. See, because there's always greatness. We always show a sense of greatness as Black people. And I know there's a plethora of people who don't like being called Black. I know there's a plethora of people who say Black is not a nationality. The last time I checked, God put them into nations and tribes. See, why would we as a earthly people, as a universal people, put ourselves in a block and block ourselves in being just a nation? Why would we see ourselves as having just one piece of earth? Why would we say, oh, this is our confine and we are just American, or we are just this country in Africa? No, Black is not yes, you're right. Black ain't a race. See, Black ain't a nation. It doesn't have, no, Black is just it. It is the be, is the who we truly are. It is the being of eternity. It's that eternal essence that flows through us. That's what Black is. It doesn't need a nation to have power. It doesn't need a language to have power. It don't even need a culture to have power. It just needs to remember who it is to have power. I like to look at it as when Moses was talking to the burning bush. See, if we understand what we believe and know that all the prophets in the Bible were Black. So we're talking about a Black man talking to a bush, right? And they call it a bush, but a part of me feel like he was having a vision, right? And in his vision, he's seen this burning bush and it said, I am the great I am, right? So imagine him repeating that, saying, you are I am the great I am. So he was telling himself that the I am that he was looking for and he was talking to was actually just himself. So when we look at how this world has tried to convince us that there was a God outside of ourselves, but the prophets of old knew that there was a God inside of ourselves. And then when we look at as we know that there's an esoteric meaning behind everything that we read and see and show. If we look at the esoteric meaning behind some of the things that Jesus said, I like how the book was talking about there are many mansions. And if there wasn't, so I wouldn't tell you. I'll go and prepare a place for you and then bring you there. The way that the book that I've been listening to explained it as, That's our higher level of consciousness. Jesus, it's that highest level of consciousness that we can have before we ascend to God consciousness, full connection with God. And so he was saying that I'm going to go in your mind and we're going to find this place and create this person who you want to be. And then I will come and guide you to be that. I will come and once it's prepared, once you make it up in your mind that this is who you want to be and how you're going to be, I'm then going to bring you there. See, that goes into, again, do we understand the power of the word, right? See, God said, let there be light. And then it happened to be light. God said, I want creatures flowing in the oceans. I want the stars to be out there in the universe. That was just his words, right? So if words come from thoughts, so what thoughts are we having? Right? Are we having the right thoughts inside of our mind to then create the world that we need to have? Or as again, I say, Black people are too busy hating themselves to create a world for themselves. See, one of the most powerful things that we had was separation, was forced segregation. Many of us have been taught that was one of the worst times for Black people. We talk about the segregated South, but the majority of the people in the segregated South didn't complain about the segregated South. I have too many stories of people telling me that when they just was around Black people, that it was beautiful, but it was that one time they walked to the wrong neighborhood down South, but it then became a problem. But the majority, 90% of the time, Black people was thriving. Black people was loving each other when we were segregated. Community was a beautiful thing. Now we don't even know our neighbors. We just had an event in the community and nobody on the block came. Right? And they should have known that they were openly invited to an event such as that. But nobody who lived, now the neighbors did sit on the porch for a while and listen. You had a few people down the street looking, but you had the people who came was homeless people who knew it was free food. Those are the people in the community that I seen coming. They always, this food free, or then they were listening to the words that was coming. Again, it was some powerful words. When the more we learn about Garvey, as other stories came out that some people might have didn't know, and the history of Elijah being a part of the UNIA, most people in the Nation of Islam would hate to hear that and not want to accept that. But shoot, why are we so caught up in being divided that we can't allow ourselves to be a part of the same organizations? That's one of the biggest mistakes that we as Black people have, that we can't see ourselves being a part of each other's thing. It has to be my idea. Who taught us to be individuals? See, we used to, again, I go back to when we were segregated in America. It's the reason why Toma Nation teachers come out of her thinking. Because you look at the white man, right? If you've seen the show Game of Thrones, but I'm gonna jump to the House of Dragons, right? The new show that is the prequel. It is showing family members, white people hating and killing each other. And so when you look at their history, now let's look at the history of the white man, right? They have always been an individualist empire. Always about what we gonna do and who I am. I don't even care if you're my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, my child. I will kill you to get what I want. If I want this community, if I want this land, I will kill you. I will go to war. I don't even care about the people who gonna die. I'm gonna send all my men and they gonna die for me. And I don't care. That was never us, but now it's us. I say some of us have became more European than the Europeans themselves. We can't even look in the mirror without seeing ourselves as being white sometimes. The skin color might not be the same, but that level of hate that you have of yourself when you look in that mirror, you're looking at a European, because who hates you, Black man? We might not want to accept it, But the same way they generalize all black people, I'm going to say a general statement then too. The white man hate the black man. Why does the white man hate the black man? Why does the general population of white America hate the general population of black America? One thing they know that if we were to separate, they would just be, I would say they would be decimated, right? but think about it. History has shown that they are at a negative growth rate. They talk so much about their women loving our men to a certain extent. They understand how fertile our women are. You know, understand? They know that if we separated from them, they'd die off. That they wouldn't be able to continue living for much longer if we separated from them. What we don't understand, and it's something that black people have to understand about the covering that they have and how much we protect. So we look at the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And just because Lot was living there, he didn't destroy it. It wasn't until Lot and his family came out, hellfire rained down on that place. So what am I saying to black America? The only thing stopping the wrath of God from coming to the white man's world, to destroying their empires, to their kingdoms falling down, is we won't let it go. See, I had a lecture series about how Moses said, let my people go. It's time for us to let those people go. So the punishment that has been talked about for years, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Black America is fallen. Not Black America, I'm sorry. America is fallen. The only thing keeping it standing is black people. If we got out the way, if we stop running for office, if we stop applying for their grants, if we stop working in their companies, if we start doing for self, if a majority of us start going to live in a community, see, Chicago, yes, it's a beautiful place. But right outside of Chicago, you have communities like Calumet City, Dalton, Chicago Heights that we have some blocks with abandoned houses and a bunch of lots. You got whole neighborhoods that's empty, just empty, waiting. You have the black people there more thirsty for this information that we in Toma teach than the black people here. They want some black power. They more specifically need black power. See, because if we look at their ancestors, they are the descendants of the people who built Black Mecca, who built Chicago and was pushed out earlier. And then they had to go to the suburbs with their families. And then now their children have been raised. I seen some very it destroyed me in a certain way to see how this young man was talking to these young women and how his mother sat there and watched. You know, how he calling these little girls, he had to be like 9, 10 years old himself, and he's calling these little girls the B words and such and telling them to come here, and they la, and his mama just walking behind like it's normal. You see, I say, black man, who taught you to hate yourself? Why is this continual hate then being perpetuated from generation to generation? When are we going to get the information to acknowledge ourselves? But I say it starts like this, with being reminded of who you are. See, because when you know who you are, it makes it kind of hard to hate yourself. See, if we knew the greatness and the great things that our people have done in America, you would want to be black. You would want to walk into that greatness. But when you see our communities, when you only hearing negative things, it makes it hard for you not to want to be better. So in me closing, but the real lecture is coming. See, when I say the real lecture is coming, because yes, I brought some things to you, but I just was talking. I just was speaking from the heart. But there's a message as we move into a new month. We have a new prescribed reading. And to bring the lecture to you, about in the beginning was the Word. I bring to you our leader, our teacher and guide, Minister Rahim Chesed Aton.
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
Black power!
In the name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all that exists to exist. Backing up. In the essence of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent, the one that directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years, the one who made time the seat of the universe, known among ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aton, among the Hebrews as Ansof, Yahweh, Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, Jehovah, among the Muslims as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribe, Olodumare, Obatala, and many other Orisha gods. I bear witness that all of those names refer to the same one, Almighty God. It is to him whom I give reverence, or it is to that divine essence whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we, those children of those black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the lost 13th tribe, born here in North America, and that we are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the world flow through our veins. Reach you all in the ancient but yet holy words of peace, in the languages of our fathers, of Hotep, Shalom,
Shalom Aleichem.
Assalamu alaikum,
Alaikum salam, sir.
Barakani,
Jericho Sante Barakani.
Alafia,
Lafayette,
and Ashe.
Ashe.
All greeting words and salutations of peace in the many different languages of our fathers. I greet you in peace.
Peace.
Welcome to the Toma Nation, aka Temple of Mercy Association. I am Brother Minister Rahim Chesed Aton, founder of this great movement, along with the co-founder, Minister Omari Jahi Aton, and the First Lady of this great movement, my wife, Sister, I almost said minister again, Makita. I think it's that M that make us get ready to say minister. God must be saying something. But Sister Makita, Aisha Aton, maybe our future minister, sister minister, maybe one day. Let's see what the Creator says if we keep saying it. What might just happen. And she got to accept it though if he do. If that's him calling, you got to accept the calling. If you reject it, he start whooping. Blah, 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 blah.
I see.
He's seen it and felt it. He knows. I've been there too. When it first started, when I was coming up, I did not want to accept it and I was getting whooped.
That's what I see.
Yeah, I got whooped. You gonna do it or he ain't gonna stop whooping you. So, again, you heard Minister Tahaka J. Shakur. The subject today is in the beginning was the word. And so you did hear a weighty word not too long ago, just a few minutes ago. Toma Nation, aka Temple of Mercy Association, we are not just an all-inclusive Black conscious righteous movement, but our movement produces leaders, and not just any old kind of leader, but leaders with a vision, leaders who not only visualize, but I don't want to say prophesize, what's that other word I use? Interpret world events and what's going on, and can share with you and our audience the things that are happening on this planet now and where they are in Revelation and where it is in the book of Daniel. The Toma Nation reads thoroughly, at least once a year, the Holy Bible, the right one up this time, and the Holy Quran. And that is our basic foundation before we spread out and go into all the other persuasions. This month, we normally do like a free fall, whatever God tells us to do. But we decided that we will continue in a book called Black Root Science. And Black Roots Science is not a comedic book, even though you see this pharaoh on it. It's a little bit heavier than comedic. And I know we know comedic is heavy too, but it really goes deep, deep. And today, because this is the month that we're going to finish reading it, I want to bring it to the public that you might understand a little bit deeper as to where we are and the type of information that we put out. I'm going to read the summary to Black Root Science. But to lead me to that summary, I want to read two scriptures from the Holy Bible. The first one is in Genesis, the first chapter. And it says, in the beginning was the Word. And the Word, no, let me do it right, because the other one says what I was about to say. Because I'm doing two. He said, if you do it, you're going to do it right. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. In John, first chapter, in the beginning, that's the part there, was the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. I'm going to leave it right there. Now, what you're going to witness here is those scriptures being brought to light as to who is actually being spoken of. Because the church world want to make it just be Jesus, Yeshua. But if you've heard the teachings from Toma, we changed those angels into the beings that they really are. And we know that it was, and I'm saying it this way now until we read it from Black Root Science. We know that when it said, let us make man, that wasn't Jesus. That there were some men that were responsible for replenishing this earth. So now I'm going to start reading, and I might stop in the midst of it. So for your listening ears, check this out. Our earth and solar system were created 78 trillion years ago. As soon as the earth was ready, 144,000 ancestors came from another star system. Did y'all hear that? Now, this is telling you before in the beginning. See, it's telling you how it got to be the beginning. But there was something before the beginning. So it's talking about a group of beings coming from another star system, and they came in droves, not one person, but 144,000. And they were called ancestors. Now, let's listen to that. Every time in the conscious community or the African-centered community, when someone makes a transition, they say they went with the ancestors. They're among the ancestors, right? And church will say they became angels, you know. So let's find out. They came from a star system, the star called Sirius, that was worshipped by the ancient Kemites. It was also worshipped by Dogons. They inhabited the earth after preparing it by seeding it with plant and animal life. Again, this is before Adam and Eve. This is that earth that was before in the beginning. And a lot of people don't understand that if the earth was void, and they're talking about replenishing, that means it had to be plenty and plentiful before it got to this part that we're reading in the Bible. Or else it wouldn't say replenish, it would say came to plenish the earth, but it said all right? So let's read on. So now we know 144,000 ancestors. Why are they our ancestors? Our ancestors are from another planet? Our ancestors are from another star system? Think about it, brothers and sisters. And it says, after, now this is 144,000, right? But 144,000 of them were on earth for about 7,000 years. Just 144,000. And 7,000 years since their arrival, their population increased from 144,000 to 1,000,000,008,000,000. Now, the number 1,000,000,008,000,000 is the most sacred number in creation. Why? Because it is the total number of original people, I have to make sure I point that out, who inhabited the first earth of our universe countless trillions of years ago. Now, we know it's more than 1,000,008,000,000 people on this planet, correct?
Yes, sir.
But according to what we're learning, is every earth inhabited thereafter keeps this number as their final and stable population. So now it's like the earth is unstable.
Yes, sir.
But I'm willing to bet that the ones who rule this planet know how many on this planet makes it stable. I bet you they know. And I bet they know, I have to say this, that the cause of the instability are the non-blacks that came and inhabited this planet. They didn't come, but we created them. Black people created them. So now, hopefully I'll be able to read all of this. So now, it was determined to be the ideal number of people, did you hear that? That can inhabit a planet the size of Earth in complete comfort. So now again, that number 1,000,008,000,000 were all black people.
Yes, sir.
So again, if that is the number that can inhabit a planet the size of the Earth in complete comfort without imposing on each other or on the natural resources, as well as imposing on the animals and plants, it just leads you to believe that it was the non-blacks that made it unstable. Now, we know further up that they were created, all right? But because of sin, that's what I'm gonna call it, which is a transgression of a law, some scientists had to come and go against the law to create something lawless.
Say that one more time.
I mean, ain't that what it had to be?
That's exactly what happened.
You had to create something against the law that would make things lawless. And he did it. Now, in the Nation of Islam, they call him Yaqub. And I'll go further into it. If he goes into it later, I'll mention it in the summary. But if not, we're going to stick to Yaqub, who was a disgruntled scientist, one of the scientists. And he decided, see, now this may not be in here, but, shoot, he might say it. Let's see. I'm just trying to go there. I'm trying to stick with what he said for a minute. All right, that's the number now that can inhabit the planet and everybody be comfortable. And that enables complete freedom of movement for all life on the planet. And this is essential for peace, for prosperity, and spiritual growth. The reason why the number is specifically 1,008,000,000 is described in the mathematical section of this book. The first earth mentioned above was created by that 1,008,000,000 original gods from the stars of the previous universe. Brothers and sisters, I don't know if you all knew, but in Toma, I've been speaking and preaching at one point that when you read in this particular Bible, in the book of Genesis, every time they said the word light, that was a whole nother universe. That 5 universes was created in the book of Genesis. 5 universes, not planets, 5 universes. We come to find out that America or somebody created another telescope that goes further than the 2 telescopes that they put out there. And that there was a empty spot or space somewhere in the universe that they could see from that telescope, and they tuned in on it and sharpened the focus and saw something they never saw before. I showed you all the pictures. Looked at like diamonds. Every one of those colorful looking diamonds was another universe, and it wasn't hundreds. It was thousands in that little small space from where they were looking, because they saw the stars and everything everywhere else, but it was like a little empty space in there. And they looked into it and saw more, matter of fact, I'm using the wrong term. Galaxies is what they were called. Thousands of other galaxies. This whole solar system and whatever is endless, believe it or not. There is no end. It's infinity, it's infinite. The first earth mentioned above, okay, I said it was created by 1,008,000,000 original gods. They existed in that previous universe. Towards the end, along with trillions upon countless trillions of other people in a state of mind called divine unity. Now I'm going to read that again. Divine unity. What type of divine unity were they talking about? Because it says, or the oneness of God. It's a state of mind where all the people in the universe unite as one. This one is God in truth, not the spirit God of modern religions. Now, you know that goes all the way back to what Toma recognized as God. We call it the great mind. This great mind is equivalent to me saying, when everyone dies on this planet, their mind goes back to this one great mind and become one. This is this oneness of the great mind, or oneness of God. So now it's like he's saying that all of these gods held the mind of the great mind. I'm using it in my language. We say the great mind, we also call it the all. And we say that this great mind is not involved in human affairs. And so you praying and you thinking in the Bible that this unseen God is coming to your aid, and he's not. Should I say it's not? If this great mind is creating black holes and other universes and constantly coming up with ideas and creating more planets and more stars and more galaxies, and he's still producing. And you think this, what I just told you, listening to your little prayer, you like one speck of sand on the beach looking at you from the top of the John, whatever they call that new place. I call it John Hancock building. And you looking down on the beach. Can you find that speck of sand as you praying? No. And that's what it is. So y'all need to get out of that. I'm praying to God. No, you're praying to a God. You're praying to a being. They are hearing your prayer. And some of them even answer your prayer. But most times they know you are the answer to your prayer. But until you know, they make you think that they answering your prayer. Now, I know half of y'all Christians don't want to hear that.
They want Jesus to take the wheel.
Yeah, Jesus, if he took the wheel, you will crash into everything. I shouldn't have said that. Let me read. Y'all shouldn't have said that. So now we're talking about the oneness of God. Toma teaches the oneness of God. That's what we all about, this oneness. If all of us, now let me ask a question, but don't answer. How would all of us have the same mind? It's based on perception. See, if we describe Jesus with this woolly hair and all that, and feet like fine brass burnt in an oven, and we visualize it the same way, that's one mind. If we have a protocol that we live by, stand by, and live, that's one mind. If all of us fast on Friday evening to Saturday evening in the third week of the month, on Thursday we all fast, that's one mind. All of that is one mind. It don't mean we all walking like robots down the street together, turn the same way, and eat the same thing at the same time, knowing like everybody know when the other one ate. That's not unity. I almost said it's stupidity. I just said it. Didn't I? That's an ITY at the end. That is not unity. And that's what we're not asking for that. And that's what people keep visualizing, that we're saying unity, and they would, no. We all, look, this is unity when it comes to what's going on in our community. If every one of us agreed that the gun violence is being perpetrated by outside force, if we all agree that that's true, that's unity. Now, if we all agree that the culprits are members of the National Rifle Association and the police union and the Federation of Police, if we all agree as Black people that that's what it is, that's unity. See? It's just that simple. We don't have to wear the same thing. We don't have to look the same. You all don't have to wear y'all hair like mine. That ain't unity. That's mimicking the minister. We ain't that crazy. So now, when the trillions upon trillions, and y'all in the listening audience hear me saying trillions, this ain't for white people what I'm reading.
Say that one more time. They're going to implode.
They're going to hear it, but this ain't for them. And I'm going to warn you, on the other Sundays, when we get into the part where he's talking mathematics, you better turn your set off because your head might explode. Because we know you only been here a little bit over 6,000 years. And you can't see or even imagine trillions. That's why you talk light years, because you can't go beyond that understanding. You talk billions, but you can't talk trillions. You can't. It's beyond you. After a billion, that's it. And see, well, no, I ain't gonna say that either. Boy, I'll be ready to slip. When the trillions upon trillions of people, now I actually thought of something that they'll think I was crazy if I said that. Y'all remind me to tell y'all.
Yes.
Got something to do with zeros following a particular number. All right? Y'all asked me about that. When the trillions upon trillions of people at the end of the previous universe were united as one, they experienced, look what's going to happen, y'all, when we unite as a black people. Especially if 1,000,000,008,000,000 of us start uniting. They experienced an indescribable expansion, can't even explain it, of their minds, which were as one mind. It expanded to such an extent that it not only circumscribed their entire universe, but it exceeded the boundaries of the universe by an immeasurable extent. The one mind, or God, became so large that the previous universe could no longer contain them. Y'all hear that? Now we know that thought, because the mind and then thought is kind of similar. And we know it travels at 24 billion miles per second. We know that we can go to Egypt and back right now just talking about it. We know that if we can visualize and look through a book of Egypt and what's going on there and the different places where the pyramids are and whatnot, and then we close the book and just talk about it, we there. We can be all in the ocean, get a book where they're showing all these pictures of these fish in the ocean and whatnot, close the book and start talking about it, and we can be in the ocean. And back, come back in the room. We can go anywhere on this planet, and the white man knows it. And I'm not talking about in an airplane. I'm not talking about hopping in the car, driving to it. And I'm not talking about your body turning into hydrogen and you close your eyes and they see a big light go across the sky. And when you open your eyes, you materialize over there. I'm not talking about that, even though that is basically true too.
We ain't got that yet. That's a lot deeper.
I'm talking about sitting right where you are and traveling wherever you want to go on this planet. That is our capability. And the Caucasian knows it. Why do you think he plays with our imagination? Why do you think he manipulates our imagination to where he wants you to think, how he wants you to think, and the way he wants you to think? And that's why we in Toma say come out of her. And the first area we say come out of her is your thinking. We got to stop thinking like the white man. I'm going to be specific now. We got to stop acting like the white man. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, study him, not be him. Big difference. And he said, why study him? Said, because he's successful. So now, once we studied him, Elijah, we found out he stole every damn thing that we studied that he showed us. Maybe that's why you told us to study him. We wouldn't have never discovered that if we wouldn't have studied him. He's a thief. A devilish, fork-tongued thief. Excuse me, being so descriptive. Let me read some more, y'all. Listen to what happened now. They could no longer be contained in that universe that their minds coming together pulled them out so far beyond the universe itself, that universe that they were in looked small. Just like the further away you get from something, the smaller it looked, that's what happened. It's like they came up first above the earth. They were still in the universe. Follow me, y'all, in your mind. And look back at the earth. But yet, those minds kept coming together and going further out till they got to the edge of that universe and wound up on the outskirts of the universe, looking back at the universe. And just to prove to you all, based on what he's saying, that it was more than one universe, where in the heck do you think they were at? On the outskirts. Think he was in the black hole somewhere, maybe? Must have been another universe or another galaxy. It says the trillions upon trillions of people still united as one. Then, now y'all didn't know this. The reason it became trillions of people is because once they united. Now, this is what a lot of people don't want to believe, but you better start believing it, because with all the stuff going on this planet, you need to believe this in order to survive what's going on. You got to rise up above what's going on in order to survive what's going on in this planet. So you better believe this. Once the 1,000,000,008,000,000 rose above this earth with their mind, the blacks on the other planets joined them to become trillions. I said it, on other planets. We don't serve a crazy God to make trillions of galaxies and don't put nobody on nothing but earth. That is stupid. And we don't serve a stupid God. We ain't even just talking about the planets in this little solar system. Yes, it's life on those too. Why would God create nothing for nothing? Why? That don't make sense. He's a creative God. He's a life-giving God. So why shouldn't he create life on other planets? That only makes sense, don't it? You travel from state to state. Did you know we used to travel from planet to planet? We wasn't going to desolate planet to desolate planet. We were visiting. And we were being greeted.
By our relatives.
That's right, by our relatives, our people. Rolling out the white carpet. No stepping on white people. Anyway. All right, let's get back. So now trillions upon trillions of people still united as one. Now they decided to abandon that universe. They consciously left their perfected bodies. That's a good way to leave too. And they rose in their mind far above the universe. They then looked down on it and they saw it as a small sphere. A sphere means circle, all right, or a ball. The way the earth looks when you see it from high above in space. Now, the same way we can see the earth from high above in space, they're looking at a circle called universe. Follow me. I said, just like you see the big old earth, their mind expanded to where they were looking at the circle called universe, above the universe. The universe is out there. All this is before in the beginning, y'all. We're not in the Bible anymore yet. I'm trying to show you. All right, listen. They left their perfected bodies, rose in mind, far above the universe. They looked down on it, saw it as a small sphere. Now the mind, being always attached to the body, no such thing as a mind without a body. So what does that say? That says that there's a certain limited amount of time that it can survive in that state. Y'all hear that? This is why there's something called reincarnation for some, but not for all. Because they can't stay outside in that form for a long time, so they go back and get in somebody's body. They hang around the hospital. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now there's some wise ones who just wait till you get to your 9 months and come in through your navel. Y'all didn't know that. Them the smart ones. You know, some got some dumb spirits too. Anyway, y'all didn't know that, I know. I got how many minutes, Minister? Oh, okay, good. You're under arrest. All right. So now, there's no such thing as a mind without a body, as these so-called spiritualists would like you to believe. The mind can extend beyond the outer reaches of space. Didn't I tell y'all that? Even expand infinitely. But there's a magnetic attraction that attaches it to a physical body. The magnetic attraction dissipates at death. Y'all hear that? It's erased. And the mind and the individual personality or soul then ascends. Your personality don't die. Your behavior is attached to the body. You know, angry, jealous, envy, spite. That's not your personality. That's your behavior. Another word I think he used is character. Somewhere in there he's going to mention it, but maybe not in the summary. Y'all got to get the book before we go off. I'm going to show it to you all. Again, Black Roots Science, so you all can see it. I have the other version. If you all hear me, you all inbox me or whatever, I can email you this version for a small nominal fee. All right. I had to be like everybody else. Y'all know that. Y'all taught me. All right. The unified mind of the people who were as one person was so immense that the stars appeared to be the size of atoms. Look how far back they're ascending. As this person was contemplating, do y'all know why it's saying person? Y'all don't get it. Ooh. I told you all a while back about that one name among the universe being man. And I told you all a person don't have to be a human. That's a universal language, person, man. All those minds turned into one person. One person. Now, if you want to name it God, you can. But see, it only makes these, I hate to say it, but I have to say it. It only makes the persons who wrote and said a lie in this book and said God or Jesus in this book and praying to him makes that small and minute.
You just said that make religion small.
And whoever they praying to, I'm going to say it anyway. I hate to say it, but I have to say it. Whoever they praying to, based on when you come into this knowledge, they don't exist. I just have to say it.
No, we did.
I'm serious. See, when you evolve, when you ascend, when you grow and travel upon another plane, when you move to a different degree, as you grow and shake off the dross, you begin to see what held you in that spot for that time that you might be fed all that you were allowed to consume. But when you're ready to grow, you have to shake off the dead stuff. You have to shake off the dead weight. Yes, that was good food for then. But that God is not the one you just heard me describe. greater than the one y'all talk about. But y'all gave the one y'all talk about the same doggone qualities of this one. But I'm going to tell you who yours was. You know the one that repented? That's yours. You know the one that killed folks? That's yours. You know the one that said he was jealous? That's yours. Just gonna tell you, it's in your book. They ain't the one that I just described, but that's the one we strive for, to be like and to be one with. The one that you heard me describe right here is the one that we are supposed to be striving to be one with.
Yes, sir.
And it alone should we worship. And it alone. And that is one of the reasons why I said, okay, talking to Minister Tahak, I say, yes, if we're going to grow, we got to rise up above these genders and this male and this female and this father and this mother concept and go right into the oneness of God and the great mind. Why? Because you go back to the source that created all of those entities and people and genders and all of that. You go to that source because that's where peace lies. Now on earth, if I describe that again like that, you know what it'll turn into? Transgender. That's earthly, see? But where I'm taking you and where this is taking you is to a place called peace. In the Holy Quran, it says a land of milk and honey and where rivers flow and all of that good stuff, you know, like you're in a garden and things like that. Oh, yeah. But you're in a secret garden. A little bit different. It's time for me to go, y'all. I thought I'd finish that summary, but something told me I wasn't. But I'm going to say a little more. I got 3 minutes. I saw 3 fingers. So now we said this unified mind was one person. And it was so immense how far out it spread that the stars now even became small. That means he didn't even stop expanding. He kept expanding further and further away till now the stars were the size of atoms. Did you hear that? As this person was contemplating, means he can think, contemplating the universal sphere, I ain't gonna say what he said, it saw that it was adequate for habitation as a new earth. With all the stars now being atoms, do you know what he's telling y'all? That he took the stars and made an earth. And that the atoms and the stars are one and the same. And this whole earth is made of atoms. And if you want to keep cutting the atoms, and you had to call them quirks, but they weren't quirks, they were more atoms. Atoms is infinite. Atoms, every time you go further and further, you're going to cut and split another atom. Atoms, atoms, atoms. Why? Because it's the beginning. Why again? Because it's also the end. But in reality, there's no such thing as end. And that's why there's no such thing as death. Those two things don't exist. In the world that we just walked into that I described, death don't exist. There is no end. There's no such word. You cannot imagine end.
Just
Descend, ascend, ascension. Maybe that's why that's my favorite song now. This is just a summary, you all. This wasn't the book. And I had about, I had 2 more pages to go. So I just wanted to share with you what Toma is going to be studying this month. And we welcome you to come with us. We welcome you to come right here to 616 East 71st Street in Chicago, Illinois. And sup, S-U-P, with us. Sup with us. Let's eat some of this divine food. Let's feed our divine mind. And let's reconnect with our divine oneness of this creative mind that created gods. Now you getting it? Created gods to create humans and all these other entities or beings. And I'll get to when they mix their seed with the human seed to create a certain, well, another level of gods on planet Earth. We'll go there one day. I'm going to let you go, but thank you all for listening. May the Creator keep you, and I'm going to leave you in peace, hotel, shalom, assalamu alaikum, abaragani, alafia, and ashe. Peace, peace.
Thank you so much for joining us for our weekly Sunday worship service. If you have enjoyed what you have heard today, feel free to support our grassroots movement here in Chicago through a donation on Cash App at TOMANATION. That's TOMANATION. Once again, if you have enjoyed what you have heard today, feel free to join us each and every Sunday here live in the Grand Crossing community of Chicago at 616 East 71st Street in Chicago, Illinois. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to share this video with your family and friends. See you next Sunday.
In the essence of the eternal divine spirit, the one that causes all that exists to exist, the one that is self-existent.
How many men have children and the children never meet their father? See, you created a void in that child because you are a part of that child.
Black power! Black power!
Black power!
Black power!